So in case you missed it, this past weekend was the Elestrals Dallas Open 2025 Premier Event, a sentence that I've said 1,000 times on coverage this past weekend. This was, in so many ways, in my opinion, the first true test for live Elestrals play. It purported to be a YCS-style event designed to be an open tournament for individuals to come and cast, and I'll admit I was a little concerned, right? So you got to understand the position I'm coming from. When Dan first came to us to pitch Elestrals in like 2022, you'll recall that myself and Danny did a Broke Boy episode where we drafted from a bunch of prototype cards, right? Now, I did that for two reasons. Firstly, the price was right. We were already going to be in the same area as Gage and Dan and Josh. I was like, this will be fun. We can do this. It was a ludicrous amount of money for a channel of, I'm not like a small channel by any means, but it was still an insane amount of money. And secondly, Dan was a little delusional about the product. I think it is important, if you're attempting something of this scale, to be at least a little delulu. And he was like doing the pitch and walking me through it. And he was like, so I put pen to paper and started making these cards January 1st, 2021, I think, or 2022, I think. And he was like, we're just now fulfilling Kickstarters. This was in late 2022. I expect this to be internationally distributed by the end of next year. And I want to host like circuit events in a world tournament starting the year after. And I was like, you're an insane person. But the amount to which he had gone in on it financially, if it didn't work, he was going to be out on the street. So I was like, okay, you know, you're selling your, this is a pretty big check you are writing. I am at least a little interested to see if it'll happen. And I gotta be honest, it has happened. It's really crazy. Like at every step of the way, I was like, this could be the end of Elestrals if it doesn't work, it works. This could be the end of the Elestrals if it doesn't work, it works. Like this is the end of the Elestrals if it doesn't work, it works. It is shocking how, like, it's making me believe like that stupid like business school affirmations shit is legitimately true. It's shocking. Anyway, so for me, I thought this was the true test of competitive Elestrals play. It's important to me this event works, that it goes well, some fuck-ups are expected, but that nothing catastrophic happens, and that a good player wins it. It's important that a skilled individual is rewarded for being skilled. Okay, so that's the background for this. So I flew out to this on Friday. I was so horrified about the prospect of having to play this event. And that's because I consider myself a really good Elestrals player. I think there is, not to toot my own horn, I really don't think that there is an argument against that. And if I set my mind to it, I think I would be in contention to win this event. But I had just come off of like 3 weeks of testing really hard in a format that I was very green to in terms of Tengu, and I didn't want to immediately launch myself into another testing regimen while pulling a double shift for my fake-ass YouTube job, putting up videos for last week, which I had kind of left undone, and this week. I come home on Monday after doing the Vegas event at the YCS, and Siberian is on my couch. And I go, what? And Siberian goes, surprise! And I'm like, what's going on? Behind my back, Siberian and Jillian had planned for Siberian to stay with me the week of the Elestrals event because they had flown in from Italy to perform some judging obligations. So I'm like, this is cool. I'm so excited to see them. But it means, like, if I test to the degree that I want to, I'm going to have like a person who flew across the ocean come to my house and be ignored. So I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And I get a wonderful email from Dan that says, would you be willing to commentate this event? And I go, thank you. Yes. So I immediately put all thoughts of testing out of my mind. I learned that I am going to be commentating alongside Kay Cray, who I've commentated with before. I love her. She's great. She's one of the greats. And we vibe really well. So I'm getting really excited for this event. I do want to real quick give you a heads up about how the format in Elestrals looks right now. So Elestrals is in what we call Moonrise meta, because Moonrise, most recent set, came out. That's the meta. It was expected week 1 that it was going to be immediately solved thanks to a deck called Blizztrix, which I guess I would say is analogous to Lightsworn in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Blizztrix deck is incredibly explosive. It has the capacity to completely take over the game as early as turn 1, provided you get it twisted. However, in the weeks since the discovery of Blizztrix and the tuning of the deck, it has mostly proven itself to be totally fraudulent. That some individuals who bring it will be able to crack in a top cut, but it has not come close to winning a premier level event, largely because eventually someone's got to lose. So the deck that has become very popular in its wake is a deck called Lunar Aggro, which from a base of Nobby, Spectress, and most importantly, Werepup, puts out a ton of damage and large, difficult to deal with guys. It has taken Fives' place as like the most spirit efficient deck in the format. And probably I would say the third best deck is this deck called Winjin. This one took a couple of weeks to sort of come together. If you look at the Draco Ray profile on my channel, MBT Elestrals, some of the early kind of attempts at this deck looked like that. But the short of it is there's this card that kind of functions like Delver of Secrets, if you're unfamiliar. It's a 3/1 on receive. You can name a card, and if it's in the top 3 cards of your deck, it ascends into its Ascension form from deck, an 8/2, which allows you to expend 1, pick 3 cards with different names, and then 1 is randomly added to your hand, right? So like Delver, there's a million ways to set this up. You can use the Divine Rune Apollo to know what the top of your deck is before you make the call. You can use the Invoke Rune First Light to ensure you know what's on top of your deck. And it adds the card to your hand if you're right. So it's also sort of Demonic Tutor, right? If you get it right. Also, like Delver, sometimes it just fucking hits it. Like, sometimes you don't have the piece that lets you ensure that the Winjin is going to resolve. So you go Winjin. You're like, there's 35 cards in my deck. I'm playing 3 fucking Gorgon's Gaze. Gorgon's Gaze. And you go 1, 2, Gorgon's Gaze. You go, add it to my hand, Tornadjin, and then you're off, right? So we saw this happen a bunch of times over the course of the weekend. That happened feature match. It happened round 1 of feature. So those 3 decks kind of form, I would say, the top of Elestrals. But to be clear, there's a lot that's playable in the format. And a lot of decks that are variations on those decks. Like maybe some strategies that are playing Werepup, but not necessarily Nobby. Maybe some strategies that are playing some of the cards found in these artifact decks, but aren't necessarily like Scrap or Articats or something. Like because splashing is so easy, you can be really specific about how you want to customize your strategy. So despite the fact that we expected those to be the pillar of the format, we knew the difference between the top decks and the rest of them wasn't that large. The second thing you need to know about the Elestrals metagame is there's a secret deck. The Nimbugs, which is a group of individuals that consists of Kevin, Swolax, Caleb, and Josh, but also includes like occasional players and appearances by people like Trishula, by Shurit, I think Aurora, and all these people like are in the same testing server and have been hiding this lunar Earth deck that they believe to be the best deck in the room by a lot for upwards of a month. So this deck is really good. I'm not gonna say that it's not. It's really, really strong. And so they have expected to show up to this event and annihilate it with this strategy. And I'm super excited. Great story if they do. They tested their hearts out, came up with a deck that was on no one's radar, demolished the competition. Super excited for this to happen. So day one, I fly in on Friday. I get in really late because of my schedule. I wanted to come in Thursday, but I couldn't. We go to Brazilian Steakhouse. I'm no red meat, so I'm like, I'm fucked. Didn't realize Brazilian steakhouses have resolved that problem. They come in with chicken. They come in with fucking eggs. The eggs they had. Holy shit. They come in with cheeses. They come in with salads. They got mac and cheese. Fuck, it was so good. The first night it's all the talent. It's a bunch of top players, casters. Dan's there. And while we're there, Dan goes, I've got an exciting thing for you all. New set coming out. It's called Firestorm. It's going to be out in May. A lot of promos for Firestorm this weekend. He's like, I've gotten some of the first boxes of Firestorm back from the people who are shipping them. At the dinner, let's crack some fucking packs. And we're handing out packs and we're cracking these cards. None of us have ever seen these cards, so we don't know what we're opening. It was awesome. It was so much fucking fun. And I got some really. I don't know if I can show it off, but I may anyway. I was able to get the entire playset of the Elechick that has escaped from Tartarus. So the thing about Elestrals cards is they're legal once you have them. So I don't think that I can play these in event, but who's going to stop me? Anyway, so I think the leak is Elechick ban. Oh my god, not Elechick. Holy shit. What did I say? Elechick? Sparkit. It's been so long since I've said the name Sparkit. I forgot that Sparkit was the card. Sparkit Escape from Tartarus. You know the card. It's the one that the new one is still really good. It discards a card and it's still Nexuses. I know it was revealed. I'm saying I have the card in front of me now. I have Sparkit Escape from Tartarus. Oh my god. Anyway. So that night, Danny comes to me and he goes, I have a problem. I don't know what I'm playing. And I go, how can that be? Your deck list is due in 6 hours. And he goes, well, here's the issue. I asked Dymax what I should be playing. And I said, say no more. I know the issue. And he showed me a... He showed me a Comalis deck. So this deck is known. It's like you use Fawnlit to find like an Artemis. Comalis Nexus off the Artemis. Comalis can search either Posthumus, which is almost impossible to beat, or Pharaohgeist, which is almost impossible to beat. This deck's fine. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, Danny, I don't think this deck's very strong. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, kind of requires too much to go right. It's not going to catch anyone off guard. Everyone knows this strategy, and they've elected not to play it. He's like, well, what the fuck would you recommend? And I'm like, play Lunar Aggro. He's like, I don't even know what that deck is. And I'm like, well, tell you what, why don't we play some games tonight? I have in my possession, just because I thought I would play some pickup games, oh my god, Ash Gray! Thank you for the 50 gifties! What the fuck? I really appreciate it. And if you didn't get one, dodge it in chat. As simple as that. Wowie, wow, wow. Holy moly. Okay. So we decided to play some games over the course of the night. And Danny starts playing Lunar Aggro, right? And he's like, I don't get this deck. Josh comes over and is like, let me explain it to you. And he's like going, so what does Full Moon do? How does Werepup work? Super rudimentary questions. And we're like, maybe it's not a good idea to get him on this. But he doesn't know anything. Like, he knows that amount of stuff about Comalis Turbo as well. Like, so over the course of the night, he's like getting a little better at the deck. Then we go to bed at about 1. Okay. So he registers the Lunar Aggro deck. By the way, you said Danny was making it sound like the deck you made him play was bullshit. Certainly not, obviously. But we'll get to that. So, we get in Saturday morning, and I'm up bright and early along with Kay. So I'm wearing the suit, and I like the suit that I'm wearing. I think it looks good standing up. But when I sit down, I'm like, fuck, this doesn't look good sitting down. So I'm just like, I can hear Die Workwear in my ear. I'm like, ooh. So I will have to go to Joseph A. Bank and be like, I need a suit that looks good sitting down. You knew to unbutton when you're sitting down, right? Of course. Come on, be reasonable. But to be clear, also, it was also really dark. Like, it just ended up being a little darker than I think we wanted for coverage. We had, like, soft lights and stuff. We just needed a couple more. So I walk in, and I was shocked to see what was there. So it's a ballroom in a hotel where we're all staying. And in the ballroom, they've cordoned off half of it. And let me actually, I think I probably have like a picture that kind of shows it. The picture I have looks really small, but it is bigger than that. Yeah, see, it's like this. So this is kind of what it looks like. There's more off to the left, and there's a little more in the front as well. So it's not this packed and small the entire time, but this is kind of what it was. So in terms of capacity, if you're unfamiliar with how this works, when tickets for this went up, it was capped at 128 individuals because they expected about that many people would come because of attendance at premiere events previously, the webcam events. And they also expected that was the maximum they were going to be able to do from a logistics perspective. And I agree with that. I think 128 is a good number to land on for like small teams. Like, you don't really want to like get into a position. Like, if something goes catastrophically wrong, wrangling 128 people, not so bad. But it turned out that was not enough. That sold out in under 1 minute. So they made two big concessions. The first is they let an additional 100 people in. So it capped at about 200. And I think we got everyone who's like a top player the chance to do it, with the exception of Cards and Coffee TCG, who couldn't make it, which is really frustrating because they won 2 fucking premieres back to back. And then the other thing that people could do is they sold for like $5-10 this thing called a spectator pass. And that got you entry to the event, 1 free side event, and then you were there so you could fucking play side events all day. And there was stuff to do as well. So it ended up being like 200 people in the main, but 400 people total, like 400, 450 came to the event. So I was shocked to come in and see like, oh my God, there's a lot of fucking people here. It was also like, there were a lot of women. There were a lot of people there for different reasons. Like, some people were there to trade. Some people liked there were cosplayers and shit. There were kids there. It was crazy. Ash Gray, thank you for another 5 gifted subs. Holy fucking moly. I really appreciate it. Again, dodged if you didn't get one. But at the event, there was they had some vendors who were just saucing people. I did buy some shit from the vendor, but I was like, oh, I shouldn't be buying at these prices. They had side events. Here's what they were doing for side events. It was 8-person pods, and they had a Winamat for the mat that's exclusive to Clash, which goes for a lot. This bundle of spirits that are all marble frame, which I could show you in a sec, but I really like. A Stellar Voldusk, which is a really nice card. And then they had Draft. They had just like straight up Draft. They were like, these sets weren't designed for Draft. I know some of you are limited Andes. The Draft was so successful, they ran out of spirits. They ran out of like lands functionally doing the Draft. It was so funny. They had hired a couple of cosplayers to do like Artemis and Demeter. But someone also dressed up as Demeter, which will figure later into the story later. And then they also had catering. Like, there were people standing outside, like, selling shit. I was walking around, and I was like, how the fuck did they put this together in this amount of time? It became almost immediately obvious that do you all know how annoying A Drive has been on Twitter, where like someone will talk about just vaguely why they're frustrated with their card game, and he'll be like, can you be specific about why you're frustrated? And you got to go, oh, hey Drive, come on. Turns out he was using that information. So like a significant amount of what he was doing was just grabbing like shit people were mad about so he could fix it when he hosted an IRL event. So like a ton of the stuff that irritates me about Yu-Gi-Oh, but also Magic and also Pokemon events was just not here. I was like, oh, all right. There was no downtime. Like there between each round there was maybe 5 minutes. It was crazy. It was unbelievable. Compliant Hornet, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. If you didn't go and dodge in chat, as simple as that. So, the funny part about this event is that we're sharing space with another thing. So if you've ever been to a YCS, you know that often they will double book these conferences. And so it was this, and there were 2 other things. The first was a trading card convention, which was funny because people were like, where's the card games? And they would just tell them the wrong place. And they'd be like, right, the card games. There's some guys selling baseball cards. And the second was a children's dance competition, like an 11-year-old's dance competition. So the Demeter cosplayer was like hanging around, and one of the little kids came up and was like, what is this is hearsay from Trish. One of the kids came up to the Demeter cosplay and went, what is your fandom? They were like, what is your fandom? And they were like, fine, yeah. And they started trying to explain Elestrals, and the kid was clearly not into it. And then the kid went like, okay, just be careful. There's a lot of creeps here. And it was like, oh? There's a lot of creeps at the children's dance convention? I hope not. Are you okay, kid? Is everything all right? Oh, boy. Okay. So, Kay and I start casting, and the event goes really well. The first couple rounds are super cool. So we get a tiny bit of downtime. We have like 10 minutes before the next round. I'm like scrambling around trying to ask people what their records are. And I'm shocked to find out early in rounds, Trish, Kevin, Josh, Caleb, and Shurit have all gotten totally fucked. They have been butt blasted. How has such a thing happened? Well, the thing about this format is the existence of a high roll deck like Blizzstrix is sometimes you will get high rolled, right? So basically what had happened is a lot of these people that were expecting to make really deep runs now had to fight their way through a round of Blizzstrix. And if they're running really hot, you can get totally blown out of the water even if you massively outskill them. But then you get caught in the fucking Blizzstrix bracket. If you go X1 after round 1, you're playing up against a Blizzstrix player, and they're due. They just bricked. They will not be finding Cedar Soar again. So, like, Trish is, like, fucking starts his run X2, and he's like, I can't believe this is happening. However, the opposite is also possible. And after 3 rounds, Danny, this is me and Kay at registration, Danny is, here, let me just play you this. Danny, thank you so much for coming to this event. You're one of the top Elestrals players in the nation, currently 3-0 at the largest Elestrals event in the history of time. Can you walk me through your first 3 rounds?
First, my opponent goes Blizz. They whiff. My second round, my opponent goes Blizz. They whiff.
Swole in the back,
round,
by the way.
My opponent goes Blizz, Blizz, Blizz. And then I go whiff, whiff, whiff.
Damn, you're really good at this game.
What can I say?
Let me know when you start playing it.
you know me, bro. Nobby.
He was quirked the fuck up. So he's 3-0, but he hasn't played any Elestrals. But in those 3 rounds, he learned how to play his deck. He was like, okay, I have all this time while they're failing to combo off. Like, I can learn how to play the deck. So, can you explain this in Yu-Gi-Oh terms? Yes, I can. So let's say you've entered with Ryzeal, and you don't know how to play the deck, but it's Ryzeal. How hard could it be? You draw your hand round 1, and you go, I have no fucking clue how to play this. But great news, Your first 3 opponents are all playing Mermail and Brick. They're like, shit, didn't open the combo again. You're like, oh god, what do I do? Oh, there's a droll in this hand though, so I have some time to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. You can play like a monkey, but if you have, you know, the out to the combo, great. So that's what happens to him. Then we play 3 additional rounds, and Danny wins those as well. So his rounds, to my understanding, were, I don't know what his 4th round was. His 5th round is against the Demeter cosplayer, who is on an unbelievable tear, by the way. Oh god, I can't remember her name. She is oh fuck. Oh my god, I'm not remembering any names today. Sansei, thank you. Is in the event, doing crazy, playing a really good deck. Danny wins a nail biter of a game 3, goes on to play against Bo, one of the greatest, kind of most storied players in the game, gets to a game 3 situation in time, has double Ambro to beat Bo's double Ambro Kaufmel. And at this point, he's 6-0, and I'm like, oh, you don't have to win anymore. There's only 2 more rounds. Even if you drop them both, you're getting into top cut. He goes, great. And then he dropped the next 2 rounds. One of the rounds he played against was on camera against a guy playing Hydrake. Now, Hydrake is not a particularly good card, but the person was playing Hydrake for 2 reasons. One, Dimax had told him that he should try the deck. And 2, if you get top 16, you get the ascended form of Hydrake, Penterror, as like a 1 of 16, only once, like prize card type situation. And he was like, I want to win the Ascension with the Hydrake. It was hilarious. And he did. We had him, he won the feature, and then he came off the feature, and he was like, I did it to show that Hydrake is good. Shouts out to Dimax for the tech. And I was like, fine, whatever. And then, but in that match, Danny got fucking Galaxy PTA'd. He didn't know the interaction. He was like, I'll PTA the Galaxy, so it's a 2-3. And the guy was like, no, I'm so sorry about this, but no. He doesn't know. Augur, thank you for the 5 hundo bits. If you have a fascination with feminine clothing, always play women in video games and wish you were a girl, I have great news for you. Luke Von Karma has topped the Elestrals Dallas event. So the top 16 comes in. All the Nimbugs are out. It's crazy. Like, I think inarguable that they have the best deck in the room, with one exception. Swolax has made it into top cut and is playing Danny round 1. So I tell Danny, I'm like, this is fine. I know Swolax's deck card for card. We'll just prep against it. He's like, okay, sure. During the day, Kay and I commentate, and we had such a good time doing it. If you're even remotely interested in Elestrals, I recommend you check out the 1st round, the 3rd round. There's a 5th round where Dan comes on that I commentate with him that's really good. There's just so much fun stuff going on in the tournament that we were able to talk through, and hope you all appreciated the commentary. It's been a while since I've been on the casting desk. I was happy to flex my muscles again. I think I could have done a little better, and hopefully I will do better on a future day. Here's some stupid stuff people had me sign. Someone said, hey, check out this prog meme. Can you sign my progesterone? And I said, I guess so, sure. I signed a lot of Krakatugas because I opened my Elestrals videos by going, what's up, my Krakatugas? And let me see. This one as well. Signed a lot of Mats, the CTS, got a lot of pics with people. Some people brought Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There was a person cosplaying Skull Servant that got some shit signed. This person, I think, got me like as I was leaving or as I was coming in, and I was like, oh, good, okay. So this person asked me what I wanted to sign from their Yu-Gi-Oh binder, and I said Naturia Dickvein. Augur showed up. Augur was like, hey, it's me, Augur. Can you sign my WotC print? And I said, yes. Danny had already done it, and she also had fucking the actual meme review board. Oh, and this guy.
Hey Justin, what the fuck? Where are the cards? I'm waiting for the cards, buddy. I can't sign nothing. Justin, what's going on?
That was important that I did. This is the Skull Servant cosplayer. I can't believe they already have this. I don't even have this shit yet. Anyway, so this was the trophy, and the next day. One more thing before the night goes over. This was unbelievable that they did this. There was an OTS about 20 minutes away that was huge, and so A Drive had called them and said, "We'd like to set up in advance what's called a trade night." And the concept was a bunch of the people from the event could go to trade night and like play casuals, trade with each other. A Drive was there doing what he calls a gunslinger, which is you play him in a best of one, and if you win, you get his god card, his like custom god card. So he was doing those there. So I'm excited to go to this thing. They were bussing people out of the event. Like if you after round 8, they had like a couple of buses rented to like take competitors there and back. I was like, that's so cool. What the fuck? That is awesome. But we couldn't do it because we had to do like more stuff on casting. So they announced the top 16. We all go to trade night, and Swole takes us. So it's me, Swole, Kay, Danny, and Siberian. And we go to this like Korean skewers place that Swole recommends, and it was fucked. It was so good. And I ate so. They had these mushrooms. They had these like Oyster King mushrooms or whatever, and it was so. I'm like, they had broccoli. He was like, you got to get the broccoli skewers. I'm like, I know what broccoli tastes like. I didn't. It was so nuts. So we go to this trade night after. We got there so late. It went from like 7:30 to midnight. We got there at like 11. I jammed some games. I make some moves. I make some trades. There were a couple people there that were trading like crazy ass prototype stuff that Caleb got his hands on. And so then we head out. Swole lets us swing, or we swing by a Kroger to like pick up some stuff. I picked up the stupidest flavor of Prime Energy I'd ever had in my life. And as we get back, we all go back in, and it's like 1 a.m. and I go, fuck, Swole tricked us by taking us out to dinner. We've been outplayed. We now don't have time to test against his deck. And Danny was like, oh my God, how could this happen? We never thought we were beating this guy. Like it was never happening. So day 2, we now have a new secondary thing happening next to us. The little kids are gone. It's now a craft fair, which was wonderful because it meant after I got like 5 minutes downtime between rounds because there was no downtime. So I'd walk over to the craft fair, I would smell candles, and then I would come on back. So that was fun. Then unfortunately, Swole did take the Swole v Danny game. It was a heartbreaker, but shouts out to Danny, top 16. He was like, this is my first top. I'm so excited. I've never done well in any card game. And he knew the deck for all of 6 hours. He's played Elestrals before, of course. He was in the Elestriad, but it was so funny to be like, yeah, I picked up Lunar Aggro and I topped in 6 hours, and all these people that figured out an unbeatable build of the strategy just had worse Blizzstrix luck than me. So we get to the finales, and let me see if I can pull it up. It comes down to Swole in finals versus Bo. So Bo is a known quantity, and mostly what he's known for is running an unbelievable deck, playing a bunch of artifacts and Heliolith. He's the only person who knows how to play this deck. But Swole's deck actually has kind of a rough matchup versus it because the big tech in this Lunar Aggro Earth deck is Argo, which is used to equip either Necklace of Harmonia or Scythe of Demeter, which is an artifact, which means Heliolith can come down based on either player's hand, not just Bo's. So Swoleaxe waxes him in game 1, but every match we watched, Bo won a tight game 2 and then waxed in game 3, and that's exactly what happened. He killed it. A big, unfortunate L for Swolax. Of course, I wanted him to win more than anything, but so happy for Bo. And if you go to Bo's Twitter, I think like their last tweet before winning is like, man, just feeling like I'm kind of in a rut with Elestrals. I can't seem to break the bubble curse. Imposter syndrome's rough, but I'm trying to push through it, into win the largest event ever full combo. It was unbelievable. Bo's only loss, though, this weekend was to a little man named Daniel Guadalupe, who won in time versus the motherfucker. Oh, my God. It was so funny. Let's see what else I posted. Here's Danny getting his deck checked. Danny got a deck check because I handed him the deck, and it's full of, because I live in Maryland, so all the foils kind of warp. But in Maryland, the foils warp because it's so humid. So we were like hammering them down. We had to get hard inners. Siberian's like, it was funny. They were like, a lot of these decks have a problem where you can cut to the foils too easily. Because my deck is pimped the fuck out, they were like, you can cut to the commons a little too easily. This was I mean, remember there's a lot of creeps here, but it was so funny. She came day 2 in, I guess, casual dress, but also topped, by the way, topped. It was crazy. Bo wins the thing, and I guess. Is that sand? Yeah, it is. Yeah. I guess I should tell you the demonic thing that A-Drive did. So they revealed a bunch of cool new stuff. It was like, let's take ibuprofen together. Blizztrix totally failed. A total fraudulent thing. This was a trade night. Shouts out to the Sword Art Online car. So they do this like big ceremony, and they're like, first place is Bo, and then like, yeah, and then at the very end he goes, and one more thing. We've got you the greatest prize in the history of time. And he pulls out a fucking air fryer. And the crowd goes fucking wild. I was like, this is so petty, but we ate it up. We were like, let's fucking go, baby. It was so funny. I was like pissing myself. Oh my God. And Bo was like, yeah. It was great. It was evil though. So, I didn't get to play much Elestrals at all. I was really pissed. I wanted to do a side event during the time when A-Drive hopped in for me, but obviously I wouldn't have had time. So I was like playing anyone I could. I was just like, does anyone want to pick up? Do you want to pick up? And that night, I had a little to drink, and I was like, you know what, Kevin? Let's do a 3v3. And so our 3v3 was Sunny from Caster's Corner. I got Swole on my team. But then Kevin got Trish and Josh, and they waxed us. I lost the Josh game the same way I've lost every Josh game, which was I won game 1, dominated him. Game 2, I lost a real squeaker where there was an out that I didn't really see, and then got blasted game 3. I've never had a loss like that. Not Trish. You're right. Trish said no. So at the last second, we had to get Bungus. We had to get Julian, who's on heal, and Sonny's looking at me like, how the fuck do I play against heal? And I'm like, can't tell you. If I knew, I'd tell you. So nothing like losing a money match. I don't know. Here's how Swole got second, by the way.
Wake up every day, 5 a.m. One of these, 2, 4, 5 of them, more than you ever do in a month. 50? I don't care. That's 5 to you.
It all connects. But I guess you need like, guys, we got to get at least 10,000. To kind of give my closing thoughts on this entire thing. I was dumbfounded by the fact that this happened at all. That this like game that didn't exist 2 years ago, they're running fucking YCSs for 2 years on. There were no major fuck ups. Like, there was nothing crashed and we had to wait for an hour for it to get fixed. There was no, like, eons long 40-minute delay between rounds. There was, like, food available the whole time. Side events were available until they literally ran out of shit to run the side events with. That's how popular they were. There were a couple things behind the scenes, like shirts didn't come in time, so they weren't available from like the merch store. But it was like nothing. It was like everything went smooth, and everyone I talked to had a great experience doing it. I said this like a million times on casting, but the vibe was unlike any other vibe at any other card game event I'd ever been to. Everyone was like so positive, so excited to play the fucking game. There were so many people just like laughing and joking, even on feature match, like riffing with each other. And I don't know. It feels weird to say, but it would, if this had been a YCS, it would have been in like my top 5 YCS experiences ever. It was the first premiere event for a game that's existed for like 26 months total. Man, it was wild. It was nuts. I've seen people in chat being like, yeah, but who knows if it'll work at higher attendance? And of course, who knows? But to be clear, this was a 450 person event. You know, there was a 20 person staff. You know, they had to. There are a lot of YCSs I've been to with lower attendance than that went a lot worse. And there was coverage. So who knows? I'm excited to continue playing this game. I got a deck I built while I was there that I think is really strong that I'll be taking to locals on Sunday. But good stuff.